With the new generation of consoles only months away, the time is coming very soon for people to start deciding which console they intend on buying. Of all the people this generation that decide to buy an Xbox One instead of a PlayStation 4, I think the vast majority of current Xbox gamers are going to transition into the PlayStation 5. We saw something similar last generation where a lot of people who originally owned the Xbox 360 got a PlayStation 4 instead of an Xbox One. This, of course, had to do with a lot of factors, including Don Matrick and his shenanigans with the always online DRM. A lot of people were turned away by that, and also the price, which is probably the most significant reason why the PlayStation 4 did so well. It was $100 cheaper than the Xbox One, which was originally bundled with the Kinect, that most people just didn't want to play. People didn't give a shit about the Kinect, and they were forced to pay $100 more for something they didn't want. And even though Microsoft did reverse their original policy on used games, that still definitely hurt their reputation so much that a lot of people just decided to jump ship and support Sony instead of Microsoft this generation. But on the flip side of that, with the 7th generation, the PlayStation 3 was such a train wreck that a lot of people went from the PlayStation 2 to the Xbox 360. But I think what we're going to see with the next generation is that a lot of Xbox gamers, even more than last generation, are going to jump ship to the PlayStation and not buy an Xbox Series X. I think Sony is going to dominate this generation because Microsoft is doing very little to convince consumers that their console is worth buying over the PlayStation 5. Despite Phil Spencer doing almost everything he can to try to flip Microsoft's bad reputation that they've had, I don't think it's going to be enough this generation to convince enough people to go back to Xbox or to stick with the Xbox. And I think Phil Spencer himself has actually done a lot of damage to the Xbox brand than people seem to realize. And Play Anywhere is definitely a big thing that has killed the Xbox brand. And look, I'm a PC guy, and I'm definitely benefiting a lot from this myself, being able to play all the Xbox games on my PC and being able to play Xbox Live games on PC without paying a subscription. But if you forget all the fanboy shit and look at this from an objective point of view, the value of the Xbox brand has never been lower than it is right now. Microsoft has committed a lot more of its resources to PC gaming than console gaming, which, like I said, I love this. But if you're a console gamer, this is a kick in the balls. Whether you like it or not, exclusive content defines the value of a console. Not the features, not the graphics, the exclusives, the games. We are talking about gaming consoles after all. Obviously, the games are going to be the most important thing. And right now, it doesn't seem like Microsoft has too many of them. At least, not a whole lot that are actually worth playing. And I know on the flip side, some people are going to argue, well, look at all the studios Microsoft has been buying up lately. It seems like they're really committed for the next generation. But they're more committed for their Game Pass than they are for their actual console. And you could say that's a good thing or a bad thing, but when we're talking about consoles, there's no way that people are going to buy a Series X over a PlayStation 5 because of Game Pass. Let's be real. Game Pass is actually doing a lot more to hurt the Xbox brand than help it. Let's be real, okay? The whole point of buying these studios in the first place is to put even more games on Game Pass because Microsoft's whole thing is to put all their first-party games immediately on Game Pass the day they come out, which is really good for Game Pass as a service, but not so good for the Series X console because they're more focused on their subscription, on their Game Pass, of getting subscribers for Game Pass, that they put all these games out there to try to attract as many people as they can, but that also has an adverse effect on the quality of the Xbox brand because they care more about quantity right now than they care about quality content. And whether you're a fan of Sony or not, they have delivered a lot more quality content to consumers than Microsoft has this past generation, and that trend is going to continue for the foreseeable future. I think we very well may be seeing the beginning of the end for the Xbox brand, at least when we're talking about consoles. The Series X very well could be the last Xbox console that we'll ever get. And for me personally, I'm really scared about the future of console gaming because it looks like Sony is about to have a monopoly over console gaming because of how many people are going to flock over to the PlayStation and how the Xbox Series X is going to do even worse than the Xbox One. That's what I think is going to happen. I mean, you look at everything they're doing, they're pretty much handing the generation over to Sony. They're handing it over. They're not even going to give a fight. And Nintendo's just doing their own thing. We're actually going to talk about Nintendo next video, but as far as Microsoft and Xbox are concerned, right now they're offering nothing of substance to the console players, which is going to result in a lot of people, even more people than last generation, going over to Sony from Xbox and abandoning the Xbox brand. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think a lot of Xbox players are going to go over to the PlayStation next generation? Or do you think most of the people who stuck with the Xbox One are going to stick with Xbox and get a Series X? One factor I didn't talk about was backwards compatibility, which both consoles will have, but for a lot of people, the idea of being able to upgrade a lot of the games they already own may be enough to hold on to the Xbox brand and get an upgraded Xbox in the Series X. That very well could be. Backwards compatibility is definitely going to play a very important role in the 9th generation of consoles than with previous generations, but I think people care a lot more about new games than old games, just in general. People care a lot more about what they can play now than going back to the past and playing some of their favorite games from before. So I'm not sure if backwards compatibility, if the ability to play Xbox One and 360 games are enough for people to just stick with Xbox and not go over to PlayStation. So that's one thing I want you guys to discuss in the comments is, do you think my prediction is right? But also, what has your personal experience been? What has convinced you to go from PlayStation to Xbox, or Xbox from PlayStation, or PlayStation from Nintendo? Like, what has been the deciding factor in you going from one console to the other? With my personal experience, I started off with the PlayStation 2, then my second console was the Wii, which I got for my 10th birthday because, well, I was still a kid, the console was more kid-friendly, so my parents were more comfortable getting me that console, and it also was much cheaper than the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, so price is definitely a factor. But I eventually got all three of them, the Wii, the PlayStation 3, then the Xbox 360. I eventually had all those consoles, and that was the same thing for me this generation. I have both a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One, but I find myself spending more time on my PC than any of my consoles combined. So obviously there are going to be people like me who are really into video games and are just going to buy all the consoles no matter what. But for this generation, I literally have no reason to buy an Xbox Series X because all the games that console's going to have, I can just play on my PC. So even though I'm probably not going to get a PlayStation 5, I'm more likely to get one than get a Series X. Obviously, I'm a different case. I'm not the average consumer. I'm a PC gamer. I have a really nice gaming rig, and I usually get all the consoles anyway, so I'm not the average person. What about you guys? Did you stick with the PlayStation all the way, or the Xbox all the way? The only consoles you ever had were Nintendo? Like, have you stuck with one brand all the way through? Or have you gone from PlayStation to Xbox, or Xbox to Nintendo, whatever it is? Let me know which console brands you guys have stuck with over the years, and why you decided to switch, if you switched at all. I look forward to reading those comments, but with that said, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.